In this video, I'm going to give you 20 ideas for how you can use a visualizer in a classroom and beyond. Live modelling is what you're going to spend most of your time using a visualizer for in the classroom. Demonstrating to pupils how you want them to do the work, your thought process while you're attempting examples, working through questions. That's a really valuable thing to do. You might be used to doing it on a whiteboard or in some other way, but doing it under visualizer is a really powerful method. Modelling exactly how you want pupils to present their work is really useful. If you use an exercise book for the class, you can show them exactly how you want them to present it in the same way that you expect them to do in their books. Everything from underlining titles, writing dates properly, to using the correct equipment, using pencils, all that sort of stuff, making sure that their paragraphs are set out as you want. Demonstrate all of it in the way you want them to do it in the book. Visualisers are great for scaffolding work for pupils, demonstrating what you want them to do, but also giving that extra support where needed. Here we've got a template for an I do, we do, you do activity where there's a question for the teacher to do, talk through the thinking, explain what you're doing as you go. Then there's one for we do, so that means the teacher carries on doing it, but maybe asks the pupils for their thoughts as they go through, gives them a moment or two to think about it before writing the answers. And then there's a you do question, which is for pupils to do independently, and they can use that model of the first two questions to really support them. If you want to, you can get some pupils doing the we do on their own, whilst others follow along with you, giving that scaffolding to those that need it. Visualisers are great for any sort of demonstration, whether that's a science experiment you want to show the pupils how to do or demonstrate to them, whether it's something in design technology where you're showing them how to use a piece of equipment, or in art demonstrating a process, or something simple like in maths, showing them how to use equipment like a protractor or place value equipment, or something as simple as using a calculator correctly. Whenever you see a piece of pupils' work that you want to show to the rest of the class, either because it's excellent or because it's something which is a common mistake you want to show how to avoid, being able to show that work under the visualizer is a really powerful way of doing that immediately within a lesson. Maybe you don't have enough textbooks for everybody in the class, or you just don't want them to have their own book for some reason. You can show the textbook under the visualizer and make it really clear to pupils what they need to be doing. It's also great for making sure everyone's looking in the same place. You can direct their attention to a particular part of the book, highlight things that are important for them to look at before they do their own work, and you can also put extra questions up. For example, if some pupils have finished the main piece of work and you want to put some extension up, you can put that under the visualizer instead of having to print out or hand out copies for them to use themselves. Anytime you want to talk about a mark scheme with pupils, putting it under the visualizer is a great idea. You can demonstrate to them exactly where the marks come from, you can use it to live mark some work, show them how they can improve and exactly what the examiners are looking for. Modelling to pupils how to do self or peer checking to catch those errors before their work is marked is a great idea. You can model that to them, you can show them how you might go through it with one person's work and they can do the same thing themselves. And when it's time for that marking, you can guide them through that self or peer marking. You can show them what they should be looking for, where those errors are likely to be, and how to make improvements on their work. Maybe you've been working on a poem or doing some sort of write-up of an experiment and you've made some annotations yourself. You can demonstrate to pupils exactly what your annotations look like by putting them under the visualizer. Show them your thought process, show them not only what they write but where they write it and how they use those tools to their best advantage. If you're lucky enough to have an iPad or another type of tablet, they work brilliantly under a visualizer. Because the screen is illuminated, they show up really nicely and you can use them to demonstrate interactive things that pupils might want to see to help your explanations, or you might want to use a whiteboard app instead of a mini whiteboard or an exercise book to show pupils your modelling. This works really well because you've got all of those tablet options available to you, different colours. You can erase things quickly, but you can also save those in a way you can't do with mini whiteboards. Visualisers are brilliant anytime you want to read with the class, whether they've got their own copy of the book or they're just looking at the screen. Being able to show them what you're reading and get them to read along with you is fantastic. You can either use a pen to point to what you're reading so that you know where you're up to, or you can use the Visualiser software to do the same thing. So I've got the IPEVO Visualiser software here, and this allows me to use two reading aids. The first one I've got is a line that I can bring up and show exactly where we are in the book, or if I double click, I get a magnified version so I can show the text even if it's quite small. And I can also switch it to show just a slice of the book with everything else greyed out, showing exactly where the pupils need to look and making sure their attention is on what they should be reading. Visualisers are also great to support reciprocal reading. If you don't know what that is, do a search for it, it's worth finding out about. Basically, it's a way of systematically improving pupils' comprehension. So demonstrating those techniques and how you do them under a visualiser is a valuable way of using that process. Visualisers work brilliantly for walking-talking mocks. If you want to demonstrate to pupils the thought process that goes into answering an exam question and then model the answers to them, doing the exam papers under a visualiser is a great idea. It's much better than having a pre-done set of answers and talking through them, because they can see your thought process, they can see how you built up to those answers, where you started, and the order in which you answered it within those confines of an exam paper. Anytime you want a record of pupils' work, visualisers are great. Whether this is for a portfolio of their work, or for keeping exemplars to show to another class, or for next year, using the software to record those pictures or videos from the visualiser is a really quick way to gather those things during a lesson. Another reason why you might need to capture people's work is if you're trying to find evidence for access arrangements for exams. So being able to snap their work at different stages during the lesson, showing what they've been able to do independently, is a great way of building that portfolio of evidence. If you have something that you'd like to show to the pupils, but it's going to take too long to do live in a lesson, you could use the time-lapse feature of the Visualiser software. This means you can record something like a piece of art being created or a long science experiment being conducted, and it will record it in a way that means you can play it back much faster and show the pupils the whole process in just a few minutes. Because Visualisers work as USB cameras, they make a great option for a webcam. So they'll work with Microsoft Teams, with Skype, with Zoom, anything else that needs a webcam. And a lot of them have microphones built in, so they're your complete package for being able to join a remote meeting when you don't have a laptop with a built-in camera. Using that microphone that comes with the visualiser is great for recording feedback for pupils. Whether you want to record some audio feedback as an audio file, you can record that on your computer, save that with the work for them, or you could use Windows built-in dictation software that allows you to talk and convert to text any feedback you want in any text box that you would like. That works with all sorts of different programs and websites. Using the video recording function of the visualiser is great for recording your explanations and your modelling. So you might want to do that so that you can share it with pupils at a later date, either to look back on, or if they're working remotely and you can't be with them, you can send that to them to see. But also, as a professional development tool, it's a great idea. It might be that you're an NQT and you want to share some of your explanations and modelling with a mentor to be able to discuss how you could improve. But for all of us, we can all improve what we do. So even if it's just kept to yourself and never shared, recording your modelling and your explanations and going back over them yourself, looking at how you can make those little improvements to get better at doing those things would be a really worthwhile investment of time. I hope you found those ideas useful and that there's at least something there that you haven't thought of and that you can go away and try for yourself. Look out for my tips video, which will also give you some other ideas for how to just make those little improvements to your visualiser use. If you did find that useful, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Either is helpful. And please consider subscribing, maybe hitting that bell icon to get more videos like this about visualisers and about other software and ideas for teachers.